Hey you guys, my name is Trinity. If you're new here, welcome. I do lifestyle and spirituality content, and if that interests you, you might as well go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. But if you're not new here, welcome back. So Mercury retrograde has been retrograding, you know. A lot of people all over Twitter and YouTube have been talking about, especially in the spiritual community, have been talking about how it is wreaking havoc. We're tired. We're overwhelmed, we're sad, we're all of the above. Like it's just a lot going on with this like shift in energy and the planets and stuff like that. But regardless, that kind of got me wanting to talk about family. Pretty much everything stems from family, and we all know that at this point, and I'm no stranger to talking about topics like this on my channel. But a situation kind of happened fairly recently that I felt I don't want to say called to share with you guys, but like it made me realize like a plethora of things about myself that I wanted to kind of share with you guys, just because I think that y'all would understand where I'm coming from and the things that I'm saying and like the downloads that I've had from just a plethora of situations, just me just dealing with them back to back to back as of recently. So that's kind of what this video is going to be about, and it's definitely going to be about cutting off family members and why that is okay. So to begin, I've cut off like a lot of my family. Actually, I pretty much cut off the entire paternal side of my family, and for various different reasons, which I'll get into in a second. And there are a plethora of people on my mom's side of the family that I don't like talk to. It's not that many, but you know, I just be doing me, and there's like one person mainly that I do not mess with at all on my mom's side. But the main issues that I've had growing up have been drastically with my paternal side, and that's why as an adult I choose to not have these people in my life, because they just tend to complicate shit. You know, my grandma, she's like overly Christian in ways that's like really fucking weird. Like she'll sit here and like condone abusive alpha male men, as she likes to call them, but then tell me that she's gonna pray the gay out of me. Like, just really, it's like, I think your logic is a little backwards, ma'am. She's also the type of person to be like, you can't cut off family, like, really honestly, no matter what they do, because they're family. And I'm like, that shit, I never really have cared about narratives like that, because if somebody is not adding to my life and uplifting to the title that they're supposed to have, that blood shit really don't make much of a difference for me. My uncle is Switzerland. Like, they don't like getting in the middle of stuff. And from that, like that passive energy, I tend to not like passive people. I'm not the biggest fan. It's like if injustice is going on and you're not doing shit about it, you are too the problem. So that's just me personally. So being Switzerland and an abusive family, it's just like you can't really do that, in my opinion. I've talked about my father, narcissist, alpha male, just on some weird shit my entire life pretty much. Just a brief rundown of the issues I've dealt with in my family just in general. And this kind of leads me to talk about what just happened recently. So, not sure when it was, maybe like a month ago at this point, I was meditating, and I of course had a wandering thought, and that wandering thought led to me realizing that in a sense I missed my father. And when I say that, it was very interesting because I was hit with the sudden realization that the main emotion that I expressed when it came to him would be like anger or annoyance, mainly annoyance. Like I didn't have any energy like to give to him that was like anger, because I'm past that point. So it was mainly like, ew, like I don't want to talk about that nigga, like the fuck. Like that was my main attitude towards it. But as I am meditating, I realized that the true emotion I actually felt was sadness, because I didn't miss him as a person. I missed the relationship that we could have had. Like growing up, I used to always see my friends who have dads in their lives, and like that kind of relationship dynamic, it was just never something that I got to have. And from that, I feel like I was put in like a lot of messed up situations, or like I didn't know how to handle certain situations to the best of my ability, I feel like, because my father was absent. So especially when it came to like love or like sexual assault, like I don't think that I was able to navigate those situations correctly. Not even just the situations, but the healing process after that, because my father was absent and pretty much like abandoned me. He'll say that he didn't, because I think that he thinks that he was there in spirit, but cap, Your Honor. I call cap on the play. That was the brief realization. Actually, no, not brief. It was a lasting realization that I am still glad that I came to terms with till this day. But after I noticed that, I just immediately started crying. And the thing about me is, I've mentioned this briefly on my channel before, that after I started my spiritual journey, I had a hard time crying, which was strange because I was the type of person that would cry on command. Like, I used to just be an easy advocate for crying. Like, that was like my #1 coping tactic. But ever since I started my spiritual journey, it just became a lot harder for me to cry. And that was the hardest cry I had since March of last year. And it just told me a lot about myself, because I'm like, as I was crying, I felt this immense release. Like, it just felt like my inner child was releasing a very big load that I had been carrying for years at this point. And after I felt that release, I was like, well, what else can I do to feel more release? This feels good to get this shit off my chest. And my intuition, spirit, whatever, ancestors, I heard a sound from, well, a sound. I heard a sentence being spoken from, or it actually wasn't even a sentence. I think that I was like, do I need to say something to him? I don't want to say something to him, but do I? And then the only thing I heard was yes. And it came from my left side. And if you don't know, the left side of your body is feminine and the right side is masculine. And little side note, because I said I would talk about this a little earlier, the reason that I am saying that is because if you see my Bell's palsy video, I explain like my condition and what all it is. You should really check it out. But I briefly mentioned how like my dad was verbally abusive to my mom while she was pregnant to me, and my grandma used to always be like, stop doing that shit because something's gonna come out wrong with the baby. Like, the baby's always gonna feel that. And the right side of your face is, I'm sorry, just your body in general is the masculine side. So I'm saying that to say that I think my father gave me Bell's palsy. It either is him or something from my past life that is the reason that I have Bell's palsy. Might be both, probably is both. But you know, something just tells me more so that it has something to do with him being the narcissistic and like person that just lacks empathy, and just, you know, seeing his actions over the past few years, I'm like, yeah, that nigga probably gave me this shit. So yeah, I just thought that was something interesting. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. So yeah, I was crying, I felt this release, then I was like, do I need to reach out to him? Maybe I do. And spirit, I just heard a sound and it was just like, yes. So I don't have his number. I didn't have his number at that time, so I DM'd him on Instagram, and all I said was, hi, I miss you. And like I said, I didn't actually miss him as a person. I just missed like what could have been. And I didn't expect him to respond, and I completely avoided looking at the DMs under my general tab for a very long time. But eventually he did respond, and I didn't see it until like a week later. I was with my friend, and she has like issues with her dad too, so I wanted her to open the message before me, is what I'm trying to say, and react to it first. So she did. First message, they were sent over like the period of like 4 days. First message was like, I pray that you are well. That's what he responded to me saying, I miss you. No, I miss you back. No, none of that. I pray that you're well. Then the next day it was like, I've got a song that I want you to do something with. Text my number. And then the third day, yeah, you can really see the lack of empathy, the lack of emotion, which is what I'm about to say next. The third message was like, prove it. No emotion over here. Come sweet and respectful, or not at all. And then the fourth message on the fourth day, no tension, just putting that on the table, just something like that. And I was just like, at first I perceived the message to be like, okay, that was a good response. But as time went on, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, if it were me in that position, I wouldn't have responded like that at all. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way the longer I went on thinking about it. But before I started to realize how kind of backhanded I felt like that response was, I had already texted him, and it was right before I had gone, it was a day before I had gone to Tulum. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. But it was the night before, and I was with all my friends, and I was with the friend that read the text in the first place, and I was like, okay, maybe I should text this dude number. And as I am just typing, hey, it's Trinity, I just felt like I was texting an abusive ex. I felt like I was texting my first love from high school. I felt like I was texting my ex from A&T. Like, it did not feel good at all. And I should have listened to myself way more than what I did, but I didn't. And I just got this weird feeling over me. Just the energy it just shifted. I turned off my ringer. I turned off my data. I put his messages on mute so I couldn't see when he responded. Like, it was just like, I don't want to have to do this, you know, for like, I just didn't get a good energy, a sense of energy. I just didn't feel good about texting him in the first place. And the conversation was just very short. It was just like, I'm on the way to the airport, but here's my number. Just, you know, just simple stuff like that. It was like 6 messages in total. And he was like, all right, I'll hit you up later. Have a safe flight. And that was it. And as I'm in Tulum, I actually told my friends that went to Tulum with me about the text, because that was a very spiritual trip for all of us, especially as we did like the yoga and the tarot readings and the sound bath meditation. It was a very spiritual trip for all of us. And after I read them what it said, Ari for sure was just like, bitch, hold the fuck up. Paul was like, huh? Like, why would he respond like that? And yeah, after that, I just was like, you know, I think that maybe this is it. Like, I don't need to continue to chase this relationship, because I've gone damn near 21 years doing a lot of shit by myself. Like, and if not by myself, then with other people who like love and support me, like no matter what it is that I do. Like my mom, my aunts, my grandma, like my cousins on my mom's side. Like, it's just like, I don't need him. And it was that realization that actually really helped me just write him a text. And it was really just like, farewell. Like, I can't do this no more. Like, it was the fact that texting him felt like texting my ex, who was like emotionally, mentally, verbally, like abusive. It was that for me, because I noticed that the relationship that I had with my father was what was reflected in my romantic relationships. And I did not want that shit to continue. Like, the person that I had most recently been talking to, the one that I made this podcast episode about, that was the person that I was visualizing during my meditation, where I had all these realizations about my father. And as I said, I miss you to this person in my visualization, their face morphed into my father's face. And I was like, God damn. My father has been blocking, like, my love life, like, the relationships that I create. They've all, like, it's just been a romantic block in regards to the energy that I felt about him. Like, I hope you guys are following. I didn't realize that until then and there. And I noticed that the last person I talked to that, you know, kind of made me realize this, like, he just reminded me of my father, and in the worst ways. Like, and I didn't realize it until, like, things were ending. And I don't want anything to do with that person at all anymore. So that's good, because I used to be the type of person, I used to run back to abusive relationships. But through my spiritual journey and through me understanding, like, these different aspects about myself, it's been a lot easier for me to choose better. So that's basically what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I sent the farewell text, and it felt like I was breaking up with an ex. And then I blocked the number, and it's been peaceful. There was a time period where I had another download. I think this was in like September of 2020. I realized that my father was jealous of me, And I told my mom about the downloads, and she was like, girl, you just now realizing that? Like, he's been jealous of you since you came out the womb. Like, he was jealous of you because I had to pay more attention to you. Like, I wasn't paying no attention to him. And now look at you. Like, you have a YouTube channel. You're successful. You're doing this shit on your own. You ain't got no kids. Like, you have this dope-ass apartment. Like, my father is also an entertainer. Like, I basically do what he wants to do. What he's always wanted to do. And it's like, even though I'm not a singer, like, I just have more like access to these things, and I just live an abundant life pretty much. And you know, I realized that he was jealous of it. And it was just a weird thing to uncover, because it's like, whose fucking parent is jealous of them? Like, that's fucking weird. Like, that's the shit you read in Wattpad stories. Like, you don't live that life. Like, you know, it's just strange. So yeah, it's just been a lot fairly recently in regards to the downloads that I've been having about myself, the people that I've kept around me, you know, the people I've had in my life in the past. That's just really what I've been experiencing, and I've just really made the executive decision to not feel forced to have people in my life who I don't want in my life, and who don't serve me, who bring me more stress than anything. And the day after I had that whole meditation session, I went to the skate park. I met this cute ass boy. It was just like such a polar opposite switch of energy, like from him versus the last person that I was kicking it with. And like, even in comparison to every previous relationship I've had, like, the energy is just different. And that just goes to show that once you do things like shadow work, like, it was interesting, me and Notty had the shadow work video that we did on her YouTube channel, where we answered some of her audience's questions and just talked about our personal experience with it. And a lot of people were wondering, like, how do I put this? Like I think they were asking us questions where shadow work was the answer, but they didn't view it as like something that would immediately take this weight off of your shoulder. So people ask questions kind of like, what's my next step after shadow work? And we were like, well, shadow work is kind of like one of the best things that you can really do for yourself. And it's not something that you can sit here and verbally explain, but it's just like how I said the second after I did this little, you know, maze in my head and uncovered the deep truth about how I felt about some people versus others, and just the relationship I've had with my father and how it's played out in other romantic relationships that I've had during my lifetime. Like, it's like an immediate release. It's like an immediate answer to this problem that I kind of didn't know that I had. So yeah, doing shadow work is like hella important. Like, honestly, if there was a guideline for spirituality, I would say that you can't be spiritual unless you've done shadow work. There's not. Don't feel pressured, you know. Some people are at that level in their journey and other people aren't. I'm being funny, but, you know, shadow work is just super important. Just super important. I put heavy emphasis on that kind of stuff, because it's like, even in times where it isn't an immediate, like, release of like negative energy, it's still a step towards the right direction. So, you know, always remember that. This event also made me learn and not even just learn, because I've known about this, but like realize a lot about conditional versus unconditional love. I've officially made the executive decision to stop accepting people who want to give me conditional love, because that's not real love. Like, if somebody wants to put you in a box or like shave important parts of you away, they don't love you. Like, and that's it. Long story short, they don't. It ain't even a long story, actually. It's very easy. It's very simple to see who is really there for you and who isn't, because they won't want to change you at all. They will. I mean, we all have negative tendencies. Don't get me wrong. We've all got things about ourselves that we need to work on. But if it comes to like, I want to be an actor, and they want me to go into a more stable field, like a doctor or like a therapist or something like that, like that's conditional love. You shouldn't accept that for yourself, because no one is deserving of that kind of love. It's not even love. I don't even want to keep calling it love, but just like tolerance. Like, I don't want to be tolerated, you know? Like, I want to be, like, loved unconditionally, you know, just in the simplest form. Like, it don't even have to be this difficult. But yeah, so I've just made that executive decision in my mind that I don't want to accept anything less than what it is that I do deserve. And I personally need to start looking in the mirror every day. It'd be funny when people be calling me famous, because I used to kind of, as of recently, I've been trying to acknowledge this situation as that. Sometimes I'd be like, bro, like, I am, I guess. Like, that's kind of my answer. Like, but like, it's like, no, bitch. you're pretty much you're fucking famous. Like, it's like that. But yeah, just being hella certain in, like, the person that I am, the person that I'm becoming, and the type of people that I want around me has become more and more important, because as I make new friends, meet potential partners, things like that, I just want to have a good head on my shoulders to know exactly what's up, like, to see the signs in advance, and just to know when someone is right for me to have in my life. And I think so far it's been going really good. Like I said, I cut off the last person that I've been talking to. They actually came back from Mercury retrograde, like I said they would, because everybody fucking comes back to my ass. That's just how the world works. They came back on some dumb shit. Ridiculous. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. And I don't even know if I'll tell it, because I don't even want to give that person energy. But it was just funny, just like me sitting here and authentically realizing who they are as a person. Like, it's not for me. It's not for me. Also, something else that I wanted to point out was that something just tells me that I am certain that in a past lifetime I was a great father. You know, whether I was like a praying mantis and I made it with a beautiful praying mantis woman and literally let her rip off my head and eat me for the sake of our children, that is what it is. I'm pretty sure I was great at that shit then. And I'm saying that to say that I've fathered myself before, or I've been such a great father in past lifetimes that I definitely can father myself now, you know? Another thing, I fairly recently had a tarot reading. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was a natal chart reading or a birth chart reading, one of those. And the lady was explaining to me that how her situation was a little similar to mine in the father department, and how she basically nurtured her inner child. She said she would go to like parks and sit and like observe fathers playing with their kids, because then she would see the unconditional love and how that dynamic is supposed to be, and she can apply the same thing to her inner child, which I thought was just phenomenal. Like, that's a great tactic to use. She said that her friends who are fathers, she talks to them about how they love their children, and like just the way that they speak, the way that their eyes light up when they talk about their kids, like, it's just an amazing thing to witness. And that's some great advice, you know, like, not even just for me, you know, for y'all as well who have, even if it's not father problems, mother problems, or shit, aunt problem, grandma problems, like, just all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just so nice to sit back and not even be envious of these kids or these people who have great fathers, but just to like admire it, you know. And before I move on to advice, even though I kind of feel like I've been giving advice throughout this whole video, I wanted to mention something that I heard Jada Pinkett Smith on Jay Shetty's podcast talk about. Dope ass podcast, both of them. We praise the Red Table Talk all the time, but Jay Shetty and his beautiful wife, like, they got a great podcast, like, and he interviews the most interesting, amazing type of people, and it's always hella positive. Y'all should just tune in. I'll leave it in the description box down below. But I was watching his interview with Jada Pinkett Smith, and she was talking about how, I think she was like 8 years old, and both of her parents were heroin addicts, and her dad, one day, he just looked her in the face and he was like, "I'm an addict. I can't be your father. I can't. And this is the truth." And she was like, "Okay, thank you. Thank you for being man enough to tell me this at this age, you know, for keeping it straight up. Like, this is gonna be very helpful to me, and just knowing that I have to parent myself, even though I'm young as shit, like, thank you for communicating this with me now, so that I won't be looking to you for the answers. I'll be looking like to me for the answers. And it was just such an interesting way of seeing it, because growing up, like, I knew what people would say about my dad, but like I really honestly, like, and not even like in a bad way, like, you know, like when he would do stuff and I would kind of tell my mom or somebody else about it, they would be like, yeah, I'm not surprised, like, that sounds like something he would do. So it wasn't necessarily like shit talking, but it was just like I kind of had to see who he was for myself, which I talk about in the poem that I wrote. I'll link that down below as well. Actually, or should I just put it in the video? I'll put it in the video. Here's the poem. Y'all like my poetry. Here's the poem. When I was a baby, my father was great at helping my mother. He used to do all kinds of things. Take care of me, clean the house, make dinner. He was the whole nine. So growing up, I had this preconceived image of him. He was the most helpful man I knew. So helpful that when my mother wanted to leave, he helped her put her shoes on. He packed her bags. He paid for the gas, since being a single mother is a long journey ahead. See, my father was a helpful man. In front of everyone, he needed to believe that facade. When my mother ran away from him like he was a house lit up in flames, she never told me why, never slandered his name, only made it clear that as I grew older, I would see the man that he really was, that I would see the tricks up his sleeve, that the smoke and mirrors he hid the truth behind wouldn't last for too long. The magician did his final disappearing act when I was 15, only to never be seen again. I haven't spoken to him in 3 years. It took me almost 2 to find out he ran away to Tennessee, and sometimes I think I start to forget what he looks like. But then I look in the mirror, see how we are both alike in looks and rage and anger and grudges, and how we do not forgive. And this is why I love imagery, for the way I can paint a pretty picture of him for you, for the way he comes to life in my mouth despite him being dead to me. I can compare my father to a lot of things. In one hand, he is a gun, a 44 semi-automatic. His words fire off bullets when he is angry. In another, he's a Bob the Builder ass nigga, for the way he builds up relationships only to tear them down. See, me, I really am half the magic trick and half the magician. The assistant does what he commands, lowers herself into a box for the audience's entertainment, lets her poke and prod and jab while she smiles the whole time. If she dares stop, the audience will lose interest. And this is how my father saws women in half and makes them feel forced to stay. How he puts them in the spotlight and expects them to love the attention, although it's killing them, although it's making a fool out of them, but she still gives meaning to his performance. Without her, there wouldn't be a damn show in the first place. See, my mother was literally giving my father pieces of herself, and it still wasn't enough. And I do this in relationships all the time. I guess even bad traits are still passed down through blood. See, me, I got a couple tricks up my sleeve. I tend to vanish a lot quicker than my father when things don't go my way. I be flipping cards, levitating shit, walking on water, anything to distract niggas from the bad things I do, anything to uphold my manic pixie dream girl illusion, and I do believe in karma, because all the bad shit I do comes back to hurt me even more. But I still be pulling niggas out of hats, making them do what I want in exchange for nothing. Call it sleight of the hand, call it gimmick, call it daddy issues. I think the worst thing about my father losing his mind to magic is that out of everything, he still doesn't have the power to go back and fix his mistakes. And I'm supposed to love him. I'm supposed to be his daughter. But it's hard, because he's wasted so much time being angry. It's like when he looks at me, he only sees my mama. It wasn't an illusion to be both his greatest creation of all and a reminder of what he lost in the process. But yeah, so like when it comes to that kind of stuff, like I really had to find out a lot about my father myself. Like I just would have preferred that communication from him in the beginning. I don't agree with what you do. Like I don't agree with, you know, your feminist viewpoints or how you think women should be equal to men, because he don't think so, you know. The nigga's weird because he makes music talking about women are goddesses, but then turns around and calls his daughter a bitch when she says she's a feminist. Yeah, just it's a lot to unpack. It's been a roller coaster unpacking this shit. But I think I would have just preferred that communication in advance, especially because I'm a Gemini, you know, throat chakra, always active. It would have just been nice to know from him personally in advance, so that I would have learned how to deal with it early on, instead of just being surprised the day he found my feminist YouTube video talking about how women and men should be equal. And, you know, you called me on the phone and was like, you're sexist, you little disrespectful nigga. It would have been nicer, you know, to like not have that had been the way I found out that he was pretty sexist, pretty homophobic, pretty transphobic. You know, but things play out the way that they're meant to play out, and itty witty is. But yeah, on to advice, and I think I'll call Notty, because Notty wanted to briefly say something about cutting your toxic family members off. I personally look at things as concepts. Like, a lot of things are concepts to me. We could talk about how time is a concept all day. You know, we already know that. Money, concept. Other societal structures, like the nuclear family, definitely a concept. It's like white people made this like system, and then they also enslaved black people and then took away the father, and now they bully us and make fun of us for not having a lot of fathers in our lives, like they aren't the reason why. That's another conversation for another day. With that being said, just because there's this like ideal, I don't even think it's really ideal anymore, but just like this way the society has always kind of pinpointed the American dream. You know, you grow up, you go to college, you graduate, you get a career or a job, because honestly these niggas love 9-to-5ers. You get married, you have kids, and then you make them repeat the same steps. Like, just the concept of the nuclear family is not even many people's dreams anymore. I've seen families thrive off like 2 lesbian women that have adopted 4 kids. Like, I've seen them be a lot happier than 2-parent heterosexual households that stay together because their religion or society told them to. So I don't think that people should feel forced to keep certain people in their life just because they are related by blood, because what does that mean? Like, you know, it doesn't really make much of a difference, especially like if you're still being treated like shit at the end of the day by these people who you're not comfortable with, who don't treat you correctly, who don't love you unconditionally. You know, just certain things we shouldn't have to tolerate, and I think that family is one of the main ones. But yeah, let's see what Notty got to say.
I need y'all to be strong. I need y'all to set y'all boundaries, because they're going to be coming to you. They're going to gaslight you. They're going to manipulate you. They're going to make you think that you're making the wrong choice for your happiness and you breaking the cycle. But what I want you guys to do is step into that power. Step into that I don't give a fuck about nobody but my happiness, about nobody but myself. I'm going to go out and I'm going to find my actual soul family who's actually going to, you know, not overstep my boundaries the way my actual family is. Blood is not thicker than water, okay? Nice. We're not literally fuck them. And I'm going to keep it like that. Just fuck them. Especially if you tried your all to be a happy family, to forgive them, to even help them heal. You know, trying to see the error of their ways and they still won't do it, walk away. And in the future, if they try to come to you to try to, you know, come back into your life and you notice that they still haven't changed, it is okay to say fuck them once again. And even if they did change, if you still don't want their energy around you, you can say fuck them too. You do not have to forgive them just because they change, or you do not have to have them back into your life because they change. Like, that is not, a lot of people think that's an obligation to do. You'd be like, so since they change, you can forgive them, you can come back in their life, and they think that as well.
That's a favor. You coming back into my life is a favor. Like,
exactly.
Not necessary.
Like, no, we don't do that around here. So if you don't want them back in your life, even if they change, that's okay. You're not the bad guy. You set in your boundaries, you know what you want, and like, you've moved on. Especially, here's an example. My mom tried to be a mom after years of not being a mom to me. But at that point in my spiritual journey, I already mothered myself. Okay, I didn't even need her anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm great that you're changing. I'm happy for you that you acknowledge how shitty you were in the past, but you're too late. I don't need you anymore. I am mothering myself. And I have a family who takes care of me. And once you just realize that you are all you need, you know how powerful you're going to be? Just tap into that.
Facts. You heard it here, folks.
You did.
That was a great summary. Phenomenal. Thanks, girl.
I can't wait to the video.
Notty said it best. Couldn't have summed that up more perfectly. Like that was a great way to end this video. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed. Always remember to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And other than that, you guys will see me in the next video.